Good day. I am Chris Perillo. I am your host, everybody's host, really, for this webinar. I'm working here on behalf of the New Stack, and today we're going to be speaking with Gal Jeebli, product manager at Firefly, learning exactly how to make your coffee not suck. And I have a problem because I'm on decaf, and Gal's got me beat. He schooled me already. So hopefully by the end of this, I will learn that. Now, barring any coffee discussion, we're actually going to be covering why your IaC strategy still sucks in 2025. Gal, it's good to talk to you.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Even
Very
though
excited, and
I'm jealous of your coffee. I still am. I just got to say it. Got to put it out there.
I have to say that I'm jealous of you because I can't drink decaf. I can't find the good ones.
There are
So
no good ones.
I can't drink coffee all day because I can't drink decafs.
Oh gosh. It's you're not missing anything. I'll just say that. Gal has brought along a deck for us to walk through. So hopefully everyone follow along at home, in your office, wherever you happen to be. Grab a snack, a drink, your own coffee if you want. And as we step through this, if you have questions, feel free to ask those questions. We're going to leave the questions to be answered at the end of the presentation, just to kind of keep the flow going. But feel free to interact. We are here. So Gal, take it away.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much. So hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. And as I said, I'm very excited to be here and showing you what we have today. So let's start. First slide. We are talking about 4 reasons that your IaC strategy still sucks in 2025. Probably you didn't have one in 2024. So one slide back. My name is Gal. I'm a product manager at Firefly. We're a cloud automation platform that is built to sort out your chaos in your infrastructure. Formerly ex-Kubernetes security product manager, I also have been DevOps for a few years, so I've been to the trenches and I know your challenges. I'm a coffee lover, as we already talked about, and I'm also a photographer in my spare time. So today I've got 4 big reasons why your IaC strategy probably falling apart. Stuff that we've seen firsthand in Firefly. All of this is real. It's practical ways on how to fix it, and it's not just a theory. Everything's battle tested. So let's talk about what is infrastructure as code. Basically, it's like the holy grail, right? Because you get like control over all your deployments. You have governance that keeps your auditors happy. You get repeatable processes that don't make you want to pull your hair out. And basically, that's the dream that we've all signed up for. But the reality, it's more like a maze. It's more complex than everyone thinks, because you've got tools that promise you the world, but half of the time they're just fighting each other or even you. So why does this keep happening? Why we can't all get it right? We're going to unpack the 4 big traps that turn your IaC from a savior to something that is making your life hard. And trust me, we've all stepped in this point. You will probably look at the slides and hear what I have to say and tell yourself, "Oh, damn, my strategy just sucks." So, next slide is talking about the 4 bullets that we've seen in Firefly very, very up close. This is data from our users. This is experience from the field. And it all points out to the same 4 bullets. Not having a clear strategy, overlooking the human element, neglecting security, and skipping continuous improvement. And like I said, these aren't just buzzwords. They're the small cracks that can make your entire ship sink. So we are going to dive into each one today. We're going to peel back the layers of each one of them. We're going to figure out what's really going on. And like Chris said, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat and we'll circle back. So the first bullet is the lack of strategy. Next slide, please. So you've decided that you want to move from legacy mess and shift everything to IaC. So you're going to shift all your VMs, all your manual configs into IaC. That's great, awesome, perfect. But if you don't have a roadmap for it, then you're just wandering in the dark. I mean, what's even the scope? Are we just codifying all production just to look good for the CISO? Or are we going to tackle like every environment, dev, staging? And what about multi-region setups? Do we even care about it? State files, those precious little files and keys to your entire infrastructure. Are we going to save them self-hosted? Are we going to put them on the cloud? Now, these aren't just nice to have, okay? They're the foundation. And if you skip this, you're just building on said, okay? That's not like an optional. On top of that, you have the tools. You have the tools manifest. So you have like one team using all cloud formation because it's like enterprisey, and another team is using Terraform and they're very loyal to it because it's cooler. So one's imperative, one's declarative. You try to sync them up, the teams. Good luck. It's not gonna happen. It's a collaboration nightmare. So don't get me started talking about all the unmanaged assets that you probably have in your environment. You know, all those ClickOps leftovers from 2018, those old IaC experiments that you like half worked on, like they're not optional. You need to codify them because if you don't, it's a make or break. Okay, you do your reverse engineering them into IaC or not? Do you import them or not? Do you nuke them and you start fresh? So you need to have a clear strategy on how to do it. And Firefly can take any unmanaged resource and turn them into IaC like in a snap. Okay. So that the reason that you decided to go this path is having a clear roadmap, and no strategy, no win. It's that simple. The next reason we're going to talk about is the human factor. So the tools that you're using don't run themselves, okay? Your team does that. I mean, we're in 2025, so you probably have some agents or AI or robots, but basically you're the one running those tools. So if you pick like something like Terraform, but your team never touched Terraform, that's a skill gap and it's a brick wall because one team might master it and the other teams might be Googling errors at like 2 a.m. So that's basically how knowledge silos can pop up in your infrastructure, in your company, in your teams. And suddenly you go from everyone's collaborative to one team that knows and another teams that doesn't know. And of course, there's also the resistance team. That's how I call it. You probably know them. You have them in your company. They say it works. Why change it? I mean, they'd rather have ClickOps their way through a 3-day deployment, cursing at the console, and they don't want to learn IaC. Now, I get it. Change is hard. I've been there, but you have to have the roadmap, like I said, the strategy on how to turn everything into IaC, and that will decrease the resistance, if not cancel it at all. Okay, so one team might be using reusable modules like Git, having everything version controlled, everything is fancy, and another team might suck and just keep on clicking buttons like it's 2005, and that kills the momentum and probably your sanity.
I know it would definitely save my sanity.
And we save a lot of us sanity.
Yeah, I can imagine. Next slide.
Yes. Next up is security. Everyone's talking about security. So let's put it like this. IaC superpower is repeatability. You write it once, you deploy it anywhere. But that's also a double-edged sword because one tiny misconfiguration, like a public S3 bucket in one Terraform file, it doesn't just sit there. It replicates everywhere. I mean, you scale it by 10, like 100 buckets, 10 environments, you got a breach just waiting to happen. And I've seen it happen, okay? One line of code, one overlooked flag, and suddenly your data's on a billboard. You don't want that. You don't want that. I mean, pick the biggest billboard that you know of. You don't want your data there.
I
So
wouldn't.
the fix is not like a rocket science, okay? You have to have like proactive gates, security checks in your CI/CD pipeline that say, nope, that's not gonna be on a billboard, okay? Before the bad code like hits production. Firefly's Event Center, which you can see right here. This is the governance that we use. We take it up one notch. Okay, we monitor for any ClickOps activity on your environment. We're catching those sneaky manual overrides that probably dodge your gates. And let's be real, someone will probably keep clicking somewhere and doing ClickOps, and that's not compliant. And compliance is not just a bonus for your CISO, it's the baseline. And if you ignore it, you're not just risking a slap on the wrist, you're actually risking everything, including your company's data and your company's reputation. So pay attention to security. It's not optional. Next up, fourth reason, we're going to talk about overlooking the continuous improvement. Okay, like I said, IaC is not just set it and forget it. It's living, it's a breathing process. You've got to monitor it, you have to measure it, you have to refine it. Okay, documentation will probably be your lifeline because handing off a service to someone else, if it's not documented right, it's like a crash waiting to happen. You're flying blind. And I've been on calls with customers and prospects and users where the where's that config? It turns out to be like a 3-hour scavenger hunt just to find that config. And believe me, it's not fun. So keep in mind documentation and keep in line your tools, because tools evolves themselves. You know, tools evolve, updates occur, registries shift, policies change. You have to keep everything sync. If you don't, you're probably toast. And we're talking about drifts. Your environment, your infrastructure is breathing and moving all the time. You have to find drifts. They're inevitable, okay? They're going to happen. So just picture this. You have like a user that begs for an S3 bucket access. You tweak it a bit, but nothing happens. He says, oh, it doesn't work. So it's a Friday afternoon. You just want to go home. So you just give him admin permissions and that's it. You're gone. They're happy. It's working. You're out of the door, starting your weekend. By the way, on Monday, you're on vacation and there's no documentation about that change. That drift is now a ghost in the system. No one knows about it. And he has permissions like admin permissions. So you need to know, how do you detect those drifts? How do you remediate those drifts? And that's very, very important. And again, Firefly flags those drifts and suggested fixes. It's super handy. But remember the first thing, you need to have a strategy to close that loop. It's not like a one-off setup. It's a culture that you need to build and you need your teams to implement. Very, very important. So next slide. How do we turn this thing around? Okay, we're going to start with a few don'ts and a few what not to do and a few what yes to do. The traps that you need to avoid. and then we're going to move to the do's, to the things that actually work. These are practical fixes. We've used them today. You can use them today. No fluff, just things that worked for us and our users at Firefly. So the first one is don't dodge the pipeline. To the next slide, please. Don't dodge the pipeline. Don't bypass your IaC pipeline, okay? Like we said, ClickOps might feel quick, 3 clicks and you're done, okay? But until it skips security, compliance, testing, all that stuff that keeps you out of the hot water, okay? I've seen teams do that. It's just one change. Let's just change this security group or this S3 bucket permissions. And the next thing you know, prods down. You have no idea why. You have no idea where's the latest configuration, and you have no idea what was the change. So if you built a pipeline, and you should, use it. Don't bypass it. Manual changes mess it all up every time. We've seen it, okay? So use your pipeline or use Firefly's Event Center to find those ClickOps. The next don't will be don't treat your IaC like it's a second class code. Next slide, please. So your application code is probably getting like the VIP treatment. It gets all the tests, all the reviews, all the gates. IaC deserves that too. It's not just infrastructure. It's the backbone of your cloud. So using Firefly's workflows, for instance, we can summarize and show you all the security risks, the tagging gaps, the cost projections, the real-time red flags, as well as setting guardrails to block deploys that don't meet the bar that you've set. And I've seen some sloppy IaC break a release. Don't let it happen to you. It's code. You need to own it like you mean it, okay? Not half-baked, like every application code. And let's stop with the negative and go to the positive. What you should do. The first thing that you should do is you should tackle your drifts head on. And that means you need to monitor and remediate your drift, because when your infrastructure deviates from your code, it's not if it happens, it's when it happens, okay? Because it's going to happen. Like I said, it's inevitable. And Firefly has detection to alert and remediate suggestion baked in your drift detection. So you see all the intended configs versus what's actually running. And then you can just implement those changes. I mean, you can reconcile into the Terraform, you can reapply the Terraform. You have 2 options basically to fix it. So you can fix it before anyone noticed. You can act fast, and you can dodge a lot of crises. And that's the power of staying on top of it. So have your monitor your drifts, remediate your drifts, and set alerts for it. That would save you. Next one, catch it early as possible. Shift left. Everyone's talking about shift left, okay? You should shift left everything, because that's where it gets tested, okay? If you move it in the earlier in the process, security, yes. Compliance, yes. You have to have that early in the process. Don't stop only at security and compliance. You can also implement FinOps and tagging, cost allocation, owners, TTLs. Everything should be as left as it can be, okay? You can catch like cost overruns before they hit production, so you can save money. You can save all the cloud waste that you're probably having in your environment. And again, if you're using workflows, you can flag a dollar amount of deploy and have it in preview, have guardrails on it. You need to have tagging coverage, okay? So tagging gaps, it's the same deal. You set guardrails to enforce it up front, so you don't get any assets in your environment that don't have owners, TTLs, cost allocation, environment tags, and everything. And it's very, very important because I've seen teams that scramble to retag like a wild cloud because they skip that in the first days. So those are wasted days. So shift left means testing in dev, testing PRs before it's live. It's not just for coders. We said treat your IaC like it's an application code. So it's also going to save your wallet and again your sanity. Next up, use modules. Okay, they are probably your ticket to consistency. They are centralized, they're reusable, they are policy enforced. So sorry, so you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you deploy. Okay, you need to have your module set up. You can have like a main TF, you have your variables files, you have your module file, you can control everything with a TFR, and boom, everything's standardized. Okay, you have assets that are standardized, everything's, like we said, repeatable. So if you do it right and you don't have misconfigurations, it's going to be perfect for you. I've seen teams going from like, where's the latest config to, oh, it's right there because let's grab it. It's a module. Let's use it. Just reuse it. So that's a very, very quick win. Use modules. And the last thing that you should do is track your coverage, your IaC coverage, or actually own your IaC coverage. Okay. You need to understand what's codified, what's not codified, and what's unmanaged, what's drifted. Again, Firefly does it all. It maps it out for you. So you get the codified assets that are code managed. You get drift detection for drifted configs that shift off plan. And you get the unmanaged assets, which are the ClickOps leftovers from 2018 when you did your tests. So you need to reverse those unmanaged assets into IaC and, of course, automate it with one click. Monitor your ClickOps with Event Center. You can see who's clicking on what and why, or who created what and why. And I've actually used this one to spot admin tweak that bypassed the pipeline for one of our users. And I can tell you that I've seen someone searching in the Event Center to find who changed what security group, what ingress rules, and shut down the entire network. And it was like they came to us and asked, how can I find this specific event? And using the Event Center, we found it in 5 minutes. So track your coverage, know your coverage, own your coverage. Very important. So the main takeaways that I would like you to take from what we've just talked about, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we talked about using modules which are reusable. Don't cut corners. Test your IaC. Monitor and remediate your drifts. Try to keep it consistent, okay? Codify all your unmanaged assets because you can speed up your deployments that way. And know where you stand every day. And this is probably going to help you or your strategy to not suck anymore starting 2025 all the way to 2026 and moving forward.
So, it's fascinating to me because as you outline all the do's and the don'ts and exactly what Firefly does, I have to wonder, why aren't people using this? Because it seems, and maybe it's just me, I tend to be a little more organized. I want to be efficient. I want to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. And it seems that the platform effectively does just that. Are there really companies out there that would rather take what would seem to be a shortcut up front, doing something manually, only to find out that it creates a cascading series of problems on down the line?
Yeah, so there will be a lot of excuses on why they don't need such a platform. Oh, I have a small team of 3 people, but when that when one of those three people gives admin access to someone and no one knows about it, or suddenly you see a drift of an EKS cluster or Lambda function, and suddenly your bill goes up like 2, 3 times, you don't understand where it's coming from. And if you look at Firefly's inventory, you can see it in a snap. It's in your eyes. You cannot disregard it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like insight. It's beyond analytics. I mean, that
Right.
effectively, it's keeping an eye on things, right?
Yeah.
Which, again, I ask, which company would not want to keep an eye on things? Like, just turn a blind eye. No, it'll be fine.
They want to keep an eye on things. They think they can do it by themselves, but you have like in today's day and age, you have so many tools that you need to use during your day. So you like, I have in my calendar, I have, okay, I need to check these metrics, and I need to use this tool, and I need to manage my tickets in Jira, and I have so many tools, so I had to put it in my calendar. And if I had everything in one tool, I wouldn't have to put like a specific time for it. I would know where I should go, where I should start my day. In my case, using Firefly, open the Firefly platform in the morning, and I know what I have to do today.
Efficient. I mean, and I think that's really the name of the game. Now, speaking of that, we've got a couple of good questions that came in from the people who are watching live. And yes, for those watching live, this will be available to view and experience after it's live. We'll be sure to get you the link to watch it. Joseph asked, one of the biggest challenges is the skill gap. How do we transform GUI-focused system engineers into infrastructure as code or IaC experts? There's a lot of resistance, and hopefully he's not just talking about like, resistors, capacitors. I assume resistance is in, no, I can do it on my own. How can people effectively transform and move people the direction, like, let's say, towards Firefly?
So I'm I'm going to take it to the automotive domain for a second.
Okay, great.
A lot of times you get a question of, why is there so many car accidents? And the simple answer is, the problem is between the steering wheel and the chair, right? It's the human factor. So if you take a human and you tell him to do something, he will do it perfect. And if you tell him to do it again, he will probably change a minor thing. And if the third time, he's going to change another thing. So it gets like a broken telephone. So you get like information that is not reproducible. You cannot repeat it, and it's not scaling. Okay, if you have to deploy like 100 buckets right now for a customer or something, you can't do it manually. You probably can. It will take you time and a lot of coffee, but it's not the right way to do it. Okay, you need to have reproducible, repeatable, reliable infrastructure that you can use, and it should be used using IaC. We help you turn everything that is not IaC into IaC, so you don't have to repeat that.
And I think the word that usually gets tossed about, especially in Zoom meetings across the world, is scalability. And I'd imagine this helps approach that with time. I mean, our time is, limited during the day, but you can't necessarily scale manual procedures, or, as you said, something gets screwed up 3 months ago, you weren't paying attention.
Right.
Scalability goes right out the window. So to me, and again, you're the product manager, but that it seems to speak directly to, do you want your company to be scalable?
Right. Just think of it like this. You started a project, you started a company, you're in the middle of deploying your infrastructure. And now, 5 months into your process, you have so many ClickOps events. You have so many S3 buckets that are unmanaged, or EC2 instances that are unmanaged, or Lambda functions that are unmanaged. Now you need to go and codify each one of them. So you need to go to that asset. You need to pull out his configuration. You need to understand who is talking to it, where it's related to, what's the relationships, how's the diagram of your entire infrastructure, just to codify that one single asset. Multiplied by, I don't know, 1,000 assets, 2,000 assets, and you get like a full-time job for an entire team for, I don't know, for a year. So you need to start planning your IaC infrastructure from the beginning. You can't like think of it as an aftermath, because then you have to fix a lot of things.
Well, not to mention if someone's sick that day or they move away and then all that knowledge goes with them. I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
just
Knowledge silos. Knowledge
oh man,
silos.
I would shudder to think of the chaos that would cause without a tool that effectively mitigates that, right? So it's almost like
Correct.
you could drag and drop or plug and play, a new member of the team and they'd be up to speed without necessarily needing to get up to speed and have a million conversations with different people.
Correct. And I think the most important and known saying in security domain is you cannot protect what you cannot see.
Mm.
So if you have unmanaged assets that are lying around in a remote region that you just wanted to test something, but it's out there, you cannot protect it anymore if you don't see it. So you have to have a real inventory of everything in your cloud, not just everything that is IaC managed, but everything that is in your cloud and unmanaged. Those are the important ones. Those are the risky ones.
Yep, and it's this is not going to get any easier anytime soon with everything that anybody might have to manage at certainly at the level where they're managing.
Yeah, and we didn't even mention having multi-cloud, multi-region, multi-accounts
Mm,
environments, right? We were
right.
talking everything that we've just talked. Everyone was wondering, yeah, I have that one account with one region. No, we're talking about multi-accounts, multi-regions, multi-providers. So if you have a one single pane of glass that shows you all your GCP, Azure, and your AWS infrastructure in one place, gives you all the states for it, for your assets, drifted, codified, or unmanaged, and helps you codify your unmanaged assets. What can you ask more than that? I mean, besides coffee.
Better coffee. Don't go decaf. You never will, but like I'm just saying I had to, and it's it's that's the difference between automated and manual. Really, it's just night and day. We do have another question from,
Mhm.
and I'm going to do my best with the pronunciation, Vinayak, and he asks, in today's time, what is the best strategy to test your IaC code? I'm not talking about the testing and deployment, but initial unit tests.
Mm, that's a very interesting question that I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I have an answer to,
Okay.
not at this moment. But
Yeah.
I will take that question, offline.
Okay. Great. We'll loop back with that one then. So, out of all that you covered, or that was covered today, which IaC challenge is the toughest to tackle?
Oh, okay.
I know
So
it's
we,
to
we
think
we
of.
did talk about four of them,
Yeah.
and you're asking about the toughest one. It's hard to pick one. I mean, no strategy, the human resistance, the security gaps, skipping all the improvements, they are all important. They are all, if not implemented, they are all brutal in their own way. So it really depends, I think, on your setup, because some teams get crushed by tool chaos, and some teams get crushed by not having a plan. So maybe it's those like uh, um, maybe the security slips that keep you up like at night. I'm not sure. Like I can't. I'm sorry. I can't pick one. I can tell you that in Firefly we've seen them all. They can all trip up your IaC infrastructure, and our users' data probably shows that there's no one single winner or things that you need to pay attention to. Um, I think that's why we're unpacking all four today, and we've talked about all these four. Each one is its own beast, and it's worth wrestling. So I would
Yeah.
ask the viewers, what's your what's your biggest challenge out of these
Mhm.
four? Like the strategy, no strategy, the human resistance, the security gaps, or the skipping the improvements. What do you find as the biggest challenge?
So it's interesting that you pose it back to the viewers, because one of the questions that came in from Bao, this is a good one. Should I begin my cloud journey with ClickOps or immediately learning IaC?
IaC, no doubt.
Why?
I see, no doubt. Because as I said, if you start with ClickOps, you forget things. You start with, I don't know where exactly you're based, but you're going to start, let's say, in EU East 1 in AWS. And then I don't know, one of your team members decides that he wants to try something out in Ireland. So you start a new instance in Ireland, and then you get to a point and you decide, okay, Ireland is not the place for us, let's stay in US East 1, and you forget about that Ireland instance or S3 bucket, but you already have data there, and now you don't know where it's located, you have no idea how to replicate it to US East 1. So there's no record of it, no security compliance, no checks, it's not reusable, it's not repeatable. You just lost everything. You need to start all over again. So if you start from the beginning with IaC, you probably don't have those pitfalls that you fall into in your first steps in this journey.
Hmm. You know, back when I was, granted, I'm not talking at the same level of the companies and the clients that you have, but when I was running websites, used AWS, I'm still getting billed like 42 cents a month, and I don't know.
And you have no idea
I
why.
have no idea. I'm like, I mean, it's 42 cents. It's, nothing, but like, it's still like, where is this coming from? Because my websites aren't online
Right.
anymore. Like, I have no idea.
Right.
It's
That, so if you had Firefly in inventory, then you
right.
would get an entire list of all your assets across all your accounts, all your regions in AWS.
It would
We
have
can
helped.
set up Firefly for you later and find those 15
Where
cents
they?
that you're wasting every month, where you can find better coffee in
Well,
that time.
I don't think any amount of money is going to help that, unfortunately. Steve asked, and by the way, we do have responses to the questions that you posed back to
Ooh,
the audience.
great.
But Steve asked, do you have a reference environment for a comprehensive IaC strategy?
Can you explain?
I'm not sure I can unpack it as well as Steve could, and he might come back on that. But
If you can, that would be great.
sure. But to come back to the audience responding to the biggest challenge, culture.
Culture.
um, Culture, and that would be my inclination as well. That basing it on the automotive analogy that you made, I would think
Mhm.
that the human factor,
Human factor.
that inevitably it's what the PEBCAC problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Right.
I totally understand that. That's it. Not to be understated. You could have the best systems in the world, but if you don't have buy-in, you know, or really a system like Firefly, that I guess what can I how can I frame this? If someone's doing ClickOps, right, and they're getting away with it, there's no way of effectively tracking that. Which again, you're bleeding time, you're bleeding revenue, you're bleeding attention. But by getting the human on board and there being I guess a consequence to the
Mhm.
actions, that's something that you're not going to get if you're going ClickOps versus IaC, correct?
Right. If you go ClickOps, someone once said, it's only called cheating if you get caught. So it's
Right.
only called ClickOps if you get caught. And using Firefly, you can blame someone very, very quickly. But if it's like, you can create this S3 bucket and you can create this admin policy and everything. If no one notices it, if no one knows about it,
Yeah.
then it's probably okay until someone sees the bill, until someone sees the data on a billboard, and then it becomes a problem. Hopefully that you're still working in the same place, but then it becomes a problem. So, right, the human factor is probably the one that makes most of the change. in terms of culture, in terms of selecting which tools to use, which platforms to use. And as I said, it's 2025, so maybe there are a lot of robots and AI and engines and stuff, but humans are the one operating them.
Now, speaking of humans, this is a good segue to the next question I wanted to ask. How do you convince management, the humans at the top, to invest in a full IaC strategy? So how can we convince them?
Okay, so I think that everyone, not only management, every human being has its own hot buttons. Okay, and if you're talking to management, it's probably ROI and downtime. If management doesn't care about they probably don't care about the buzzwords and platform and IaC and multi-infrastructure and all those stuff, but they do know what it means, ROI and downtime. So if you focus on the money angle, so having like an IaC strategy can cut down all the waste time that you're wasting on fixing messy things in your environment that takes up your budget or your team's time. And of course, downtime, it's very you can measure downtime. Every minute that your system is down, that is offline, it's money out of the door. Okay, so don't let it slip. Show them the ROI, show them the downtime effects if that happens, and tell them that if you do IaC right, like using Firefly platform, if you keep things running smoother and faster, then you're not sweating when outage happens or outage doesn't happen because it's not everything's organized, everything's IaC. So it's less about the tech, but more about ROI and downtime that you can save if you use the right tools.
I mean, having managed things, I totally understand. That would appeal to my logic for sure. But how then, leading to the next question, how do you train a team that's stuck on ClickOps?
Okay, very, very big question because we talked about the resistance of some teams. You just need to ease them into it. Don't put pressures. Okay, you can start by showing them how it pays off for them, because IaC saves time, it saves headaches, of course, comparing to clicking around everything ClickOps. So you need to pick something small that they deal with a lot. You can codify it for them. You can let them see how much less work they have when it's codified. And when using tools like Firefly codifications, it's like in a snap, you get a codification of an asset and all its dependencies in 10 seconds, maybe sometimes even less. Okay, so tools like Firefly can help you turn those unmanaged manual ClickOps settings into code without a huge lift. It's very easy. So it's not intimidating. And if something is not intimidating and it's helping them to save time and money, then it's practical. Okay, so you can focus on what they'll gain from it and not what they're losing from it. I know they're losing the ease of creating S3 buckets and EC2 instances and role and policies and everything, but they gain so much. Okay, and over time they will probably shift because they understand what's the benefits, and they will want to transfer to IaC. So I think like ease them into it. That's the key component.
So like leave a cookie trail from ClickOps to IaC, just like
something like that. But make sure to like meet them where they are. Okay, don't bring them to you. Just like you said, put the cookies and they will come.
That makes sense. Here's a relatively straightforward question that just came in. What's the licensing model for Firefly?
So we are based upon assets numbers. We have a few features that we're selling right now, which is inventory, governance, workflows, including the guardrails, IaC Explorer, Event Center. We have like a very big suite of features and products, and the price is is varying between, of course, customers, environments. So I would pinpoint that specific customer, prospect, user, to talk about it.
Okay. And we're coming up on 45 minutes here, so it's probably a good time to start wrapping. But I wanted to ask, one more question to dovetail everything. How do you deal with the old legacy stuff that's too messy to codify?
You probably have legacy skeletons in your closet. Okay, everyone has it. First of all, don't panic. They're not scary. They're not that scary. Okay, it's not hopeless as it looks, because you can break it down. You can start with the critical bits of your skeletons. Let's say that you have like a complete fleet of EC2 instances running on your infrastructure in some kind of a region. So you can map it out. Firefly will inventory everything for you, so you can will scan and show you everything that in those regions that you don't know about. So you don't have to guess what's running where, and then you can prioritize. You can codify what matters most. You can leave like the dusty corners, like they say, for later. And I did tackle this, like, can't remember with who, but it was like a 10-year-old VM EC2 instances set up that no one wanted to touch. And we reversed engineer it with Firefly, because we just picked that unmanaged asset EC2 instance with all its dependencies, all the network interfaces, security groups it's connected to, S3 buckets. It was saving information to the EBS volumes. Everything was codified in like seconds. And then you get a Terraform file, all codified. You can open a PR straight from the platform. You can apply it in your environment after, of course, not bypassing your pipelines, your CI pipelines. And that's like a horror story that was turned into a love story.
Well, it sounds like a good way to go from the present into the future. Certainly
Yes.
a lot easier. Gal, thanks again for your time and expertise, knowledge, insight. The audience was very engaged with chat, asking questions that we didn't get to, but also answering those questions within the chat. So very grateful that everybody was able to tune in. If you are watching live, this will be available as a download, and be sure to register for the 2025 report coming out in April. Those links will be sent to everybody who registered. So keep your eye out for that inbound communication. We won't leave everybody in the dark. But yes, once again, Gal, I would say I'm done with my coffee. I would say cheers. Thanks again. It's Star Wars. That's kind of a natural for me. But thanks again for spending time with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. If anyone wants to keep the discussion going, we can link on LinkedIn. We can connect on LinkedIn. We can talk. I'm very welcoming. I'm not, I don't bite. And
No, he doesn't.
Really like to talk about infrastructure, cloud native, and yeah, let's keep the discussion going.
Perfect invitation. Thanks again, Gal. And thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.